Another day, another Qantas drama. In fact, Qantas dramas are becoming more reliable than Jetstar flights. The High Court have just found that Qantas acted illegally when they sacked 1,700 staff during the COVID pandemic. The court found that Qantas, when they sacked these staff and outsourced their jobs, didn't do it for commercial reasons, but did it to try to avoid potential industrial action when flights recommenced after COVID. The ruling means Qantas could face a $200 million fine. That's on top of compensation they'll probably have to pay to those 1,700 workers. And don't forget, Qantas still owe refunds on a whole lot of flights cancelled during the pandemic. And there's that ACCC court hearing, which potentially could land Qantas with a $250 million fine over alleged ghost flights they were selling. All of that has angered a whole lot of people, including the Transport Workers Union. The National Secretary, Michael Caine, today suggested that maybe Alan Joyce is not the only person at Qantas who needs to, disembark.
There are serious consequences that should flow from this. Richard Goyder and the board should go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Richard Goyder and the board have been complicit in this illegal sacking of 1,700 workers. This has been a spiteful corporate dictatorship, and the board has been right behind Alan Joyce in that spite every step of the way. It's time for them to go.
Caleb, it's not all the time that we agree with union leaders, but doesn't he make a great point there? I mean, Alan Joyce has been made the boogeyman, and he is, but there were a board sitting there with him. He wasn't acting alone.
Yeah.
Can you change the culture of Qantas by just getting rid of Joyce, or do there need to be just widespread changes starting at the board?
Well, of course, because the chief executive is accountable to the board and the board gives the chief executive his direction. So clearly he was acting as chief executive as the board wanted him to do. So you've got to ask the question, will a new chief executive be able to achieve anything else if that's how the board wants to operate? And you've got a company that we as taxpayers gave $2.35 billion to during COVID to keep it afloat. Meanwhile, supposedly to also keep itself afloat, it illegally sacks 1,700 workers. Those two things cannot be together. We gave you money out of goodwill
We
to
propped
keep
you
those
up,
people
you
employed,
screwed us over.
and you sacked them illegally. Now, you deserve to pay your $200 million fine, but you should be paying back the $2.35 billion we gave you because we gave it to you under false pretences, clearly.
Absolutely, Liz.
Well, I'm not waiting for a refund. I think that's pie high in the sky, but I'm glad these guys got their dues. Now we've still got to wait for the class action case being brought by everyone who just wants their jolly money back and still isn't getting it. Then we've got the ACCC that are still looking into these ghost flights, etc. and so on. I hope this is the first of many very successful days in court for people who are bringing very serious allegations against this company. And can we stop calling them the national carrier? I was about to say character. Can we stop calling them that? Because like you just said, they knifed us. We supported them. Sure, the government forced us to, but whatever. We supported them. Meanwhile, they laid off a pile of us. Talk about show no mercy, contracted the same work out to keep themselves afloat. All they cared about was themselves.
You know the other...
And since, they've shown no mercy as well. Look at how much we're paying for
interesting about this situation is Vanessa Hudson, right? She's the new CEO. She's been strangely absent. You would think she'd be coming... Now, don't blame her for not wanting to be on the front foot. But it's just crisis after crisis after crisis. Every day there's a new headline, something wrong with Qantas. It's just interesting that she hasn't been on the front foot as the fresh face, saying things are going to change. Just use platitudes if you need to, but say something to try and invoke some confidence.
It's a baptism of fire, but again, these things come down to the board, don't they?